For all we know of the Holocaust, there is very little that we are taught about what happened in the immediate aftermath of World War II. Plan A aims to give us a bit more insight into those events. After Holocaust survivor Max joins the Jewish Brigade, helping them hunt down SS officers, he is tasked with infiltrating the Nakam, who are trying to poison the water system in Germany in a very eye for an eye revenge plot. Now, before we begin, if you like what I do on this channel, consider clicking that like button and subscribing to the channel for more reviews like this coming all the time. I am covering a lot of digital download movies at the moment. This film comes out on the 3rd of September for digital download and DVD on the 13th of September. So if you end up enjoying the movie, do be sure to make it bought. So Plan A is definitely a movie that has a budget behind it. The look of this film is very Band of Brothers-esque in the way it is shot. And looking into the history of the Jewish Brigade, it is nice to see some accuracy with the uniforms. The costume design team did a brilliant job within this. The story is quite easy to follow and it does a very good job of explaining some of the immediate aftermath of World War II. There are still a lot of German people that have anti Jewish sentiment, and obviously, with the events being still fresh in the Jewish people's mind, they are, of course, struggling with the trauma in that immediate aftermath. And I feel like the actors and performers displayed that really well. The big standouts for me were obviously Sylvia Hook and August Steele. They both did a very good job of displaying the trauma that they went through during the peak times of the Holocaust. But as much this movie has good cinematography, very accurate costume design, and solid performances all around, it is missing something, and it did take me a while to click on to what was really missing. And it finally hit me. This film is based on a true story in the basic sense. Not a single character in this really exists apart from the leader of the Nakam, from what I could find on my little bit of research. And the characters they insert into this story to tell it aren't the most compelling unless the characters are talking about the trauma that they went through during the peak times of the Holocaust. There is nothing really about these characters. Max, for one, you never really know what's going through his head. He obviously tries to infiltrate them at the beginning, and it seems like he's going to their side, but there's never any specific moment or point where it feels like it's a natural progression for this character. There's camaraderie moments, but it's never really built up to these moments. Max goes from being someone that they don't really trust to someone that they trust to read secret letters first. And I never buy that transition from the absolute nobody to basically a pseudo leader of this certain section of the Nakam. It didn't really fly for me. And there are other characters that have a change of outlook seemingly out of the blue. There are relationships that are built up between characters that don't feel natural. I just don't feel like any of the characters in this were very well developed outside of we are Jewish people that just survived the Holocaust, so we are angry. That seems to be their whole shtick. Don't really get to know anything about who they were before the war. It's just all about the trauma they've gone through. And on the flip side, every single German person in this movie is basically an asshole. Everyone is an arsehole. Every German wants to still beat up Jewish people. And quite frankly, while I get that there was definitely some anti Jewish sentiment after the war, it kind of does a disservice to some of the German soldiers that it's well documented put themselves at risk to protect Jewish people during the war. It was a thing that is very common in other bits of media and just through basic history research. I feel like it did a disservice to Germany as a country. The third act feels very rushed. I don't know. It's not an overlong movie, but it doesn't seem to have a natural flow to it. And if it wasn't such a gorgeously shot film with a very good color palette, I might have been a bit harsher on the movie. But from a technical perspective and from a performance perspective, I feel like it did its job to be an entertaining couple of hours. If you are interested in looking into some of this history, I'd recommend you just look into it properly. I'll be honest, this movie is about the Nakam. I've never ever heard of the Nakam. That has never been something mentioned to me in history class. So it was nice to be given that bit of education by this movie. But other than that, there's not really a whole lot to write home about this one. Gorgeously shot, solid performances across the board, but the lack of true character development, some very rushed relationships, and the fact that they really play fast and loose with the based on the true story aspect doesn't really hit home for me. So overall, I'm gonna have to say that Plan A is an okay cup of tea. So, Plan A, have you seen it? If you have, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Are there any stories about the Jewish Brigade or the Nakam that you feel like I should know? Do let me know in the comments below. I do love to learn history. I'm on a bit of a history junkie binge at the moment, so I would love to be pointing to any texts or media that could educate me a bit more on some sensitive topics like this. Coming up on the channel, well, obviously we still have some digital download releases coming out soon. There's one called Hall I'm going to be reviewing over the next couple of days. And obviously, we got Shang-Chi finally coming out on Friday. I'm going to get a review out on that, despite big releases never really doing well on this channel anyway. But until next time, my name is Josh. I have been Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you in the next video.